Hello and welcome to Decoding the New Economy. I'm with Ken Boal, Managing Director of Australia New Zealand for Cisco, and we're going to talk today about the Internet of Machines and some of the growth opportunities there. Thanks for joining me, Ken.
Thanks, Paul.
So just to kick off, the Internet of Machines, can you explain that?
Well, the Internet, actually we call it the Internet of Everything. In fact, we started with the Internet of Things, which is enabled through this machine-to-machine technology. It's essentially one of the new capabilities that's enabling this next generation of the Internet, which we call Internet of Everything. And it's about things, it's about people, process and data all coming together to be connected, but compounding together to create new capabilities to drive new opportunities for nations, for enterprises and government, and all the way down to consumers. So it's a huge transition in the internet's evolution, the next big thing, and offers great opportunities for business.
Which industries do you see really being changed by this?
Well, we see across the board. We don't think there's an industry that will be untouched by this next generation of the internet. Certainly the ones that have operational technologies like mining, like retail, supply chain providers, logistics providers, energy and utility companies, all of those things where there's an operational technology requirement, where we can connect new sensors to determine the flow of goods, the state of the machines, the state of the processes and systems that can then be reviewed and analysed to build smarter processes and smarter systems in real time or over a longer period of time. So there's a lot of productivity gains to be made. In fact, we determined 14.4 trillion of productivity gains in either bottom line cost savings or incremental revenues for the private sector alone globally over the next 10 years. So enormous opportunity across a whole host of different industry types. And interestingly, that's the 10-year view.
Yeah.
Even probably more interesting is what's happening right here, right now in 2013. Yeah. And the story there is about 1.2 trillion of that is up for grabs right now. And around about half of that is actually being captured by businesses. So it's still leaving a lot of money on the table, and every business is in search of more efficiency and greater productivity because we've squeezed productivity through historical means as hard as we can. So this is offering good upside for industry to look into.
Yeah, it strikes me it's more than just industry as well. At a recent presentation that you had a terrific guest from the New South Wales Road and Maritime Authority who showed the public safety aspects of this. So that ties in quite well too.
Well, it's going to impact obviously industry and commerce, but that's going to flow through to benefits all the way down to consumers. And it's private sector provided services for consumers, but also public sector provided services. And that's where I think there's profound opportunities in both spectrums.
Yeah.
Just on the public sector, in fact, our research hasn't determined the value at stake for public sector. That's going to be coming out later this year. I think it'll be significantly bigger than the 14 trillion on a global basis.
Right.
Because when you think about things like traffic congestion and the delivery of healthcare and how education is delivered, we know that they are being there's huge opportunities for greater efficiency in scale, and that's where that's where there's going to be enormous potential. Now, just on road safety, for example, when we've got all the cars connected, when we've got all the vehicles and trucks connected, when the traffic lights and the traffic control systems are all connected, when we've got video streaming of the state of our transport infrastructure all connected, then consumers are going to be better informed as to what's the most efficient route to work.
Sure.
And safety mechanisms will be able to be used. Cars will be communicating with each other in the future to prevent fatalities, prevent collisions, and all of this is also being built into the cars in the future as well. So, in fact, Cisco has actually invested in a company based in Adelaide called Coda Wireless that does exactly that type of research.
Right.
Develops the protocols for between car communications such that we will see safer roads in the future.
Yeah, it strikes me on that protocol side that there seems to be a bit of a race at the moment between Cisco, Ericsson, and various other vendors on finding the right protocol there. Do you see it as being an industry standard thing, or do you see it being vendor specific down the track?
Well, it definitely needs to move to standards. And I think, early in the piece, you'll always have, let's call it, proprietary protocols that spring up. And that's fine, because that's how innovation prospers. But we are very strong and vocal advocates for standards, because that is what drives wide scale and widespread adoption. So whichever the standards are, I'm not an expert on the particular protocols, but all roads lead to IP. I think that's the proven and selected higher order protocol for which all of the communications eventually are transported. But some of the connectivity protocols, they're still a work in progress, and that's a great opportunity for government, both locally but also on a global scale. Governments and the standards authorities need to be reviewing these opportunities really quickly and encouraging the industry to work together. And one thing we're doing at Cisco is we are collaborating with other providers and also with the providers of the manufacturers of the devices and the vehicles themselves. So it is an ecosystem effort, it's a cross-industry effort, and we all need to do it together.
Right. Now, just going back to that local side of it, one of the other things that I've seen Cisco talking about is that Australia seems to be more amongst the BRICS, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, on the Internet of Things, rather than up with the first world, the Germanys, the Japans, the United States. So how serious do you find this?
Yeah, it was concerning. In fact, when the research came out, we've always counted ourselves as Aussies as fairly innovative and leading edge. And because we're seeing, the adoption of cloud in Australia is quite profound. I believe we are leading in the adoption of cloud. But in the Internet of Everything Value Index, Australia was ranked 10th out of the 12 largest economies in the adoption of Internet of Everything capabilities to drive productivity for business. So that is a concern. And as you say, it is Germany, Japan, US, UK, France at the top of the list. Countries with a pedigree of solid technology investment in their factories, in their buildings, in their businesses. In Australia, we've had that historically in the past, but I think we've lost our mojo. In that IT has been viewed as more of potentially a problem, a cost to business, rather than a provider of productivity for the longer term. Now, this is not universal. There's plenty of bright spots also in the Australian business landscape. Companies like Linfox, ING Direct, a lot of the banks, financial services companies are really embracing the use of technology. But it needs to be more widespread. And I'm gradually sensing that we're currently 10th out of 12. We will move up the spectrum by leadership with government. I think government demonstrating how to drive technology innovation in their own service delivery efforts is very important, and then the private sector will also take a lead role.
Right. So what would be your advice to businesses, big or small, that are looking at taking advantage of the Internet of Machines?
I would say it's you don't have to start from scratch. There is a whole host of use cases for every vertical, whether it's retail or hospitality or mining or energy or financial services, etc., etc. Work with industry players, and there's no single provider that can address all of the problems, but companies like Cisco can bring forward a view of here's what today's capabilities are, and here's what the emerging capabilities will look like over the next 10 years, and a bit of a roadmap, and start to drive some innovation. Think about your business processes at the front end, where you touch your customers, how you interact with your customers. Look at your supply chains and your back office arrangements with driving workforce productivity, and also how fast can you deliver new innovations to the market. Internet of Everything themes can address a whole host of these different business processes in different parts of your business. And that's where we work with specialist providers and consulting companies to look at what might be possible in your company. So that's what we see, and also to learn from each other and to even learn across industries. Some of the innovations, for example, in logistics and supply chain might be useful over in other parts of the industry environment, say in mining or in utilities or in retail. So it's about sharing and collaborating across different portfolios as well.
Yeah. No, well, it sounds a very interesting and very exciting time for businesses in this. Ken Boal, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Paul. Terrific.